and welcome to Young Turks, the show that puts the spotlight on young achievers every single week and takes you through their journey to success. I'm Shireen Bhan, and over the next 30 minutes I'll be joined by my colleagues from across India. Our first stop is Bangalore. Roshni Menon catches up with a young man whose family has made incense the essence of their lives.
Being an entrepreneur is one thing, but following in the footsteps of generations of successful entrepreneurs can be challenging in the least. But my guests today, Arjun and Kiran Ranga from the R Group in Mysore, are adding new dimensions to their 50-year-old family business and doing so very successfully. Sleepy town of Mysore that N. Ranga Rao changed the humble agarbatti into an FMCG product. Today the NR Group is run by the third generation of this family, and for these cousins, business has been the essence of their upbringing. As children, they spent many summers watching their fathers shape and mold the fragrance and essence industry in the country. For Arjun Ranga, the eldest of 7 cousins, the cycle has become more than a company logo. Kiran, on the other hand, brings his passion to work every day when he creates new fragrances for the business. Both were educated in the US and worked with international organizations, but it's the joint family ethos that brought them home to ride the cycle brand into the new millennium.
The choice to decide whether to come back or not was always with us. Our families made it very clear to us that we could decide what we wanted to do with our future. It was a conscious choice, at least in our third generation, me being the eldest. I felt a responsibility to contribute to the family business and to the family as a whole for what it had given me, education in terms of exposure. So I had always decided to come back and work in the family business and to understand how business functions and how it is outside. I worked in the US for a couple of years. I had a boss above me. I knew how it is to have deadlines and work. So I brought a lot of my learnings there also back into the family business, and it was not like the whole thing was handed off to us. We had to work our way up. I started off by managing one of the smaller divisions of the business for a few years and then moved my way up.
I got my education overseas in perfumery, and it was inevitable that I was going to come back and look at perfume creations and taking the interest of the group forward.
Kiran, if I could just ask you, in a traditional family setup like this, there are certain rules that are already created. How do you all come in, and then is that a barrier for you all to work in?
I would not say that there are specific roles set up per se, because when we come into the business, we are both entrepreneurs, managers, and owners. So we do a lot of multitasking.
It's seldom the case in Indian business or any family business for that matter where you see a second generation so forthright in encouraging a third generation youngster to come in and say, you help us structure our exit rather than we structure your entry. And the way my senior generation molded my entry into the business also, I think is critical to what I am today, in managing the business.
Under these young entrepreneurs, the company has grown to great heights. Cycle now has a 30% share in the agarbatti market, which is still largely unorganized. It was also the first to adopt the FMCG channel for distribution and today exports to more than 40 countries. It has a library of more than 200 fragrances created and blended in-house. And Rang Sons Electronics, the most recent subsidiary, has seen a compounded annual growth rate of 55% over the last 5 years. Today, Rang Sons has transcended into air care and personal care products, from deodorants to aroma oils and perfumes to room fresheners.
Before 2000, exports of incense in itself was not very big. We saw India as the biggest market opportunity, so our focus was always in India. But post 2000, the export market for incense has expanded. More so, we can see how yoga, spirituality, Eastern culture has become, important in the West. With that is incense. Incense becomes an easy connect with Eastern culture. You light an agarbatti and the ambience is created. So we saw a big expansion in the use of incense in the West post 2000. Today, we have probably a 10% market share of the Indian incense exports.
You also talked about a personal care product division that you all are looking at. Do you see a great scope of growth for that in the Indian market itself?
We do see a lot of opportunity in male grooming. There is a lot of focus on products for women in personal care, in face care and so on. But there has been a tremendous growth in male grooming products overseas, which certainly is going to spill over to the Indian market as well. One of the brands that we have is Iris. With Iris, we are looking at a combination of wellness and aromacology. Aromacology is a new concept wherein you use fragrances to create different emotional states. There is a whole science, a whole new school of thought which is developing around aromacology, and we've used these principles to get into a whole host of delivery systems like reed diffusers, fragrance vaporizers, potpourri, fragrance stones,
Scented
lot of them, scented candles, a lot of them which we will have under the Iris brand. One other new initiative which we have also done under Iris is something called as brand signature fragrances. And with brand signature fragrances, what we're trying to do is to add a new dimension to branding. You know, traditionally companies have focused on either visual or the audio senses in communicating brands. But we are trying to use fragrance to create a new dimension. We combine all these elements and we have developed a process by which we create fragrance options for a particular brand.
And the group believes firmly in giving back to society. The NR Foundation runs a residential school for visually challenged girls, providing them education and key life skills. It also works with an NGO in Mysore to educate children in 7 slums in the city.
More importantly, I want to give more to the community. I want to get more involved in all the social initiatives that the group is doing. I want to expand it, want to increase what we're doing.
But in the midst of it all, these young doyens still find the time to pursue their hobbies. For Kiran, perfumes go beyond the realm of work. Having studied the art of perfumery, he often spends long hours in the office finding the right blend of essences for Ripple's new range. And Arjun is a passionate shutterbug. When he's not collecting cycles from his many trips abroad, he's busy taking snapshots of life around him. And his sights are set on the future of the group.
As a group today, we are looking at this year end, we're looking at about 325 crores. Over the next 5 years, we are looking at 1,000 crore revenue for the NR group. But more importantly, in the in-home fragrancing sector, we believe we will be market leaders in in-home fragrancing.
Do we see a 4th generation come in and take over the NR group as well?
Yeah, for sure. You know, my grandfather handed it over to my father to me, and I surely dream of handing it over to my son. You know, at least, you know, if not better, at least in the way my dad handed it over to us. We got it literally on a silver platter, so and that's a dream for sure.